Welcome to the MMHP in the 989, channeling all styles and eras of Michigan music history. Recorded live from the Michigan Rock Legends Hall of Fame, located inside the Bay County Historical Museum from the city by the bay. Featuring Dr. J, Fred Reif, Mr. Mike, and your host, Scott Baker. Brought to you by the 989 Podcast Network and the Michigan Rock Legends Hall of Fame, located at the Bay County Historical Society Museum at 321 Washington Avenue, Bay City, Michigan.
We're here at Michigan Legends Rock Roll Hall of Fame, and quite the rainy, cold return of Michigan weather Thursday night here in early March, mid-March, I should say. Got the whole gang in here. We got a whole podcast ahead of us with Mr. John Woolard. How are you doing, John?
Doing excellent. Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
John came to us, or came to me, I think I should say, via, we're talking guitars, and he's been around this area for a long time. Matter of fact, John's going to share stories about his father as well as himself. His father's got a pretty prominent musician background that he wanted to share, and a lot of those memories, John, you said were lost in a fire?
Yeah, unfortunately.
So we can't provide a lot of photos or anything for the crew. But
I sent you some stuff. I got some other stuff on the way, but other than that, for tonight, no.
Yeah.
It's, we lost our house in January of 22, and all of that was in my basement. So whatever didn't burn got really wet and is no longer with us.
I'm so sorry to hear that, man.
Yeah. 35 some years of memories gone.
Well, the memories are what we're going to be here today to retrieve for you here, let you spell it out for everyone. And
got some cool stories.
Oh, I'm sure you do. We got Dr. J, Freddie, and Mike's in the house taping too. And
well, I don't know too much about you or your father, but let's talk about your dad first. What's the background? Now, you said that he came here from the South.
Actually, my grandfather did. My dad was born and raised right in Flint, Michigan.
Okay.
And Grandpa came from Gamaliel, Arkansas.
Did he come here?
And by God was always in the middle of that.
Yeah. Did he come here because of work?
Oh, yep. The automotive industry.
There it is. Yeah, that's one of the big themes in that video series that I was telling you about that I've been working on.
And Grandpa was a bluegrass picker, and they were dirt floor poor. They were sharecroppers down in
talk
Arkansas.
about going, how do you ever get ahead when you're a sharecropper? It's impossible.
It was amazing, and they promised him a house, hot food, and an indoor toilet, and he got in the car, he said. He said the outhouse was great, he said, except in the summer it was 100 yards too close, and in the winter 100 yards too far away. So.
Yeah, that's good.
what was his name?
John Woolard.
John, you're the third?
I am junior. His middle name was Henry.
Okay.
My dad's was Dwayne, so I'm a junior.
Okay.
So, did he play music when he came to Michigan? I mean,
Grandpa,
did he kind of spread that?
Yeah, Grandpa was, a living room musician. He'd play with his drinking buddies and that. And down in Clio, there was a VFW hall. They'd go down there and get all sauced and play all night and, do that stuff. And then he worked, 12 hours a day, 7 days a week at the V8 engine plant is where he started out. So,
Did he know Wayne Maynard?
Well, I don't know.
Okay, because he was, a very popular banjo player that lived in Flint.
There's probably a high chance that he did, because there was just the music, right? They all the birds kind of flock together, and everyone knows everybody. It's a big small world.
Mm-hmm. So, did he do any recording at all?
Grandpa, as far as I know, he did not. None that were official that I've been made privy to. I can't. I don't know if he did.
Probably not. There probably weren't too many record companies back then that were recording like the country folk artists. Even bluegrass
in this area. I don't.
Especially here.
Yeah, because it wasn't. People pre about 64 don't understand Flint, don't understand Michigan. It's not what it. Back then it was just country. Mm-hmm. Flint was a big city, and there wasn't a lot of people there. Most of this was really small up in that area. So,
wow. And then your dad. That was like our first conversation was what your dad was doing before I knew more about you. Even though we knew a friend in the business together, but tell me how your dad rolled out of it and what he did.
Well, geez, now my dad, when he was 3 years old, Grandpa and Grandma both told me that my dad would stand at the end of a piano. When he couldn't see it, he'd reach up, and at 3 years old, he would start playing what he heard Grandma play. He would find the notes and play them one at a time. And she played, all gospel stuff back then. And so we'd start playing. The first song he ever played when he was 3 years old, he learned Amazing Grace. He couldn't even see the keyboard. He was reaching up above his head. And from there, she said, by the time he was 5, 6, he was playing full songs and just watching Grandma, and he'd do what she did. And then when he was around 17, he got noticed by someone coming through playing a GM bond drive back when they used to have bail bond drive, or not bail bond, but bond drives.
War bonds.
War bonds.
Yeah.
That's what it was. And he got noticed because he was playing piano, and they took him out on the road, and he played piano. And Saginaw Valley Jamboree was a big thing on the radio back then. He played all over that. You ever heard of Forrest Green?
Yeah.
Forrest Green,
That label,
Ranger Records.
Ranger Records.
Yep. My dad was his piano player for years. Yes. His stage name was Johnny D. So he played for, my goodness, the list is long and distinguished.
I have a number of 45s on that label.
Really?
Re-listen to them again.
Yeah, check them out. That's my dad playing on every one of them.
Wow.
Wow.
Yep. Well, 90%, I'd say, anyway.
He toured around too?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. There used to be the Grand Ole Opry. Man, there's so many ways I got to get to that point. So he got picked up by the Grand Ole Opry, became one of the staff players. He'd go down from Flint every once in a while and do shows down there for specific artists that requested him. And then they started the touring Opry. And you'd have Jim Stafford and Wilma Burgess, Kitty Wells, all the old folks that, were out doing these. And they'd have large slot shows, we call them now, just multiple people. People would pay their $10, go watch a day's worth of country music and see all their heroes.
He probably played, I'm sure, at the old Saginaw Auditorium.
Oh, most certainly.
Yeah,
most
Bob
certainly.
Dyer, promoted all those country shows
Yep, I
before
guarantee
he
you.
became the big rock and roll DJ at WKNX.
Right. So, yeah, he played the Saginaw Valley Jamboree, and then he'd go to Wheeling, West Virginia and play that show. Then he'd go to the Grand Ole Opry and play there. And, he was gone a lot when I was little. I mean, and in the summers I'd be on the road with him. So I kind of grew up side stage,
That was my question. Was it going to be, did you get to hit the road for any of those?
Oh, yeah. It was funny because, most sound guys, and I am one, so I'm speaking to myself, they're ruffians. They're not the smooth guys you see on stage. The sound guys are bigger dudes because they got to carry speakers, right? So, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's who would watch me. When Dad would play, he'd put me back in the sound booth and say, don't move. Don't let him move. And, these guys are just big old bearded muscle. I'd be like,
Yes, sir.
yeah. You need me to get you some coffee, and I was a very well behaved child at that point. So, but I learned the craft, watching how sound works, and then I started asking a lot of questions. I was that, still am that kid that goes why 50 times an hour, and learned, and that became something I did later. Running sound for a lot of people.
How about musical instruments? Did you follow your dad's footsteps on the keyboards?
No, we already had a keyboard player in the family, so I concentrated on everything else. And I wasn't going to catch up to Dad on the keys. There was no way. But I play bass, guitar, drums, anything with strings, pretty much. I can, within a few minutes, work out. And that's kind of been my thing. Started out in the drumming world.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was the little 7-year-old kid they brought out on stage and played 2 songs with the big band as the child prodigy on the drums.
Wow.
So
That must have been really neat.
it was scary. Is
I'm
what
sure.
it was. Being a little kid, you had to dress in a tux and you come out because you had the spotlight on you and all that. And
Wow.
that was crazy. Got to play drums for a lot of people you've heard of, though. Just 2 songs, but by God, it's on the resume.
Yeah.
So where were you guys living at the time when your dad was doing the touring?
Oh, my goodness. Well, we lived in Flint. Right over, the house is still there. You drive by it every once in a while, right? Basically in the crosshatch, the Ballinger district. 3710 Claremont Road. I remember it like it was 45 years ago.
Did your dad work in the auto plants at all?
He worked there for about 5 years and hurt his back, went on sick leave, and never went back. He just went out and played music. I sent you a picture of one of his shots in a nudie suit.
That was him. Okay.
That's my dad. Looks like an Italian guy. That's my dad.
I was going to have you do an explanation when we get a chance with these kids here.
Yeah, no problem. I sent you a picture. That's him in his first nudie suit.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So you went from Flint, you hit the road, hit summers, obviously, when you were not in school.
Yep.
And you were performing by the age of 7 then?
I did my first few gigs when I was 7. Well, with the Opry, it was mostly in Ontario, London, Ontario, Mississauga, Ontario, Wheeling, West Virginia, then Knoxville, Tennessee, and then Nashville, Tennessee is kind of where they had a little thing. They did a circuit with that particular.
Is this the early 70s?
That would have been the mid 70s, roughly 75-ish, 76, right in that area.
Okay.
I was still living in Flint. My mom and my dad got a divorce in 76, and we moved up to a huge town called Eau Grais in 77. It's funny, in Flint, I had 1,800 and some kids in my graduating class. In Eau Grais, there were 443 people in the whole town. And 21 of them were in my class. So it was just hilarious. It was hilarious.
So did you get into a band, when you were in
many bands. I did the whole,
What was the first one? That must have been an Eau Grais, I'm guessing, right?
Well, other than what I did with my dad.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, the first one where I was in it and my dad wasn't associated was in Eau Grais called Daniel's Band. And I don't even know if I can remember the kids that were in it. There was Daniel, the guitar player, and then Mike, the bass player, and me. And that's all I really remember.
So you guys were like a power trio?
We were a power trio. We were something. Classic rock mostly. We didn't sing good enough to do country because the lead vocalists were rock singers. They weren't. Right. They didn't have that voice. But and I played drums. So at that time I didn't sing. I started singing, playing drums when I was about 12, 13, 14 years old, right in that area. And then I actually led a band from the drums called Crystal Rose, and we toured all over the state. And that was when I was 17.
Were you playing like bars? Is that?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I had to sneak in. I had to hide when I was little. When I was 14, 15 years old. When I was 16, went to Florida. My dad was down there playing with Ronnie Blake, who was the bass player for Bertie Higgins. Remember Key Largo, big song, Bertie Higgins? So Ronnie Blake was the star of that show, and Dad was down there playing piano with him in the Keys, and I went down there and played drums for him all through the Keys, and that's where I met Amy Mann.
Oh yeah.
From Til Tuesday. Their drummer had busted up his arm on a jet ski, and they had a show that night. And I was playing around on the drums, and they were in the bar, and they come up, and I saw them. I had a horrible big crush on her, so I started playing, their famous song, Voices Carry, and they all went like that, right? So they come over and started talking to me, and they said, "You know our songs?" I said, "Huge fan." So they said, "Play this," and I played it, and play that, and I played it. And, "What are you doing tonight?" "We're in trouble." And I'm like, "What?" So they said, "Yeah, we got 3 more shows on this little thing down in the Keys, and then we're done. Can you cover them?" I'm like, "Dad, can I go play?" And I got to go do that. That was kind of neat.
So you stayed a fan of Amy Mann over the years?
I actually was in touch with her for a while. We would talk on the phone back way before cell phones, but it fell out of touch, and she kind of got indie, went like really bizarre singer-songwriter indie stuff. And I would say I'm still a fan of what she did.
Yeah.
Don't have the crush on her anymore.
Oh,
but
okay. Well, she's still a very attractive woman.
I'm sure.
Have you heard the album "The Forgotten Arm"?
Probably not.
That
I would
is
say.
my
That's a
favorite.
good record.
Yeah, she's an incredible songwriter.
Yeah,
arranger.
that's kind of like it was almost like a, what would you call it? It was a story,
Yeah.
but it was,
That makes
all
sense.
the songs stood on their own. It
Right.
wasn't like you had to hear them all in a row in order to understand.
Not
what
like
was
an
going
opera
on.
type thing,
Yeah,
but-
exactly. But yeah, I'm a big fan.
Very much like Carole King's Tapestry. Then everything,
right.
everything kind of weaved together.
Yes.
Bad pun. That was just
That's good.
bad pun. I'm the king of dad jokes. I apologize. I really don't apologize.
So 3 nights with Til Tuesday in Florida at the age of
Yeah.
17 or something?
16.
16.
Was down there at 16 years old. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, what happened after that?
I moved back to Agray and thought I was a rock star for about 12 minutes. Wasn't.
But you kept in contact with them as you were
Yeah,
going through the
yeah, a
years,
little
so
for a while.
they didn't have a
and,
need for a drummer. And
I
didn't know
I
anybody.
was fervently hoping,
Yeah.
And then at that time,
Of course, the band didn't last too much longer, though.
no,
either.
no, they really didn't.
Yeah.
That was '84, so it wasn't too much longer after that. And so then that was kind of my, other than my introductory phase when I was real little to large stages and lots of applause and the addiction of that. That was really my first, the tingle. And then from there, just kind of inserted myself where I could in every musical situation I could in the state of Michigan and Tennessee and Ohio and Indiana and Chicago. And you know how everyone says states until you get to Chicago? No one says Illinois. They always say Chicago. Because the rest of the state, but there's Chicago.
Yep, true.
I learned that from a guy that's from Illinois. I'm just throwing that out.
So you finished high school then up north. You were starting the bar band thing.
Yep.
Probably already out doing it, like you said, sneaking.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What was some of the bands that people might know from Michigan that you went through then?
Oh, my goodness. Crystal Rose. We actually had a pretty good following for a long time. We had a female singer, 2 female singers, actually. Then we had Hard Knocks was the one that was more 80s hair metal, hard rock. Now, back then you would call it hair metal. Now it's, heavy country. But and we opened for Vixen when they were here before the hotel burned down.
Oh, yeah.
Played the White Elephant many times. My God, I was trying to think. So we did so much stuff. But that's back when me and alcohol decided to have a real good friendship. And so a lot of it's fuzzy.
Yeah. Well,
Like the old saying, if you remember the 60s, you weren't there. Yeah.
Yes.
It's the
Right.
same thing in my life when I was about 20. Went in the military for a few years. That kind of should have cleaned me up. It did not. And if nothing, it just made me appreciate harder alcohol. So
What years was that?
88 through 92, I was in Gulf War One.
So you enlisted,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I enlisted.
and the reason was
Well, twofold. My family was all military, and I'm not going to say there was downward pressure to do it, but there was like an expectation of, are you going to do this too? And even at that age, I love my country. I still do. I would do it all over again, albeit way slower and clumsier. But I love my country. And then in Agray in 1988, you had basically 2 jobs you could do. You could work at Bot Bush Manufacturing, or you could work at Jackson and Church Manufacturing. And if you didn't have the last name that got you there, you weren't getting into either one. And there was just nothing else there. There was minimum wage jobs, do washing dishes, or you left. And for a long time, Agray, their biggest export was 18-year-olds.
yeah.
And so I put myself in a car and drove to Detroit and took the ASVAB test and scored very well and went into the Air Force and spent about a year and a half in the Air Force and raised my hand at the wrong time and left the Air Force and went in the Marines and went over to Iraq. So
And you were in Iraq for how long?
I was over there a little over a year. little over a year. The war was like 9.5 minutes, but the buildup was actually pretty long. That's why the war didn't. It was 104 days total, you know. Mm-hmm. And then the wrap up at the end of that it took forever, calming things down. And so I was over there a little over a year, came back, was stationed at Wart Smith Air Force Base at the time up in Oscoda. I joined the Air Force to see the world, got all the way to Oscoda from Augrey. So 35-mile hike. I could have drove back and forth to work from home. But I got to see all kinds of beautiful, this world is so gorgeous. Spent a lot of time in Spain and all of the countries along the Gulf over there. So,
were you playing any music while you were over there?
I did. Played at many little officers' clubs. During the war, you really couldn't go off the base much, and you didn't want to because America wasn't, loved over there at that time.
Yeah, you didn't know who.
That's exactly it.
Who was friend, who was foe.
And part of my job was, we would dress up as tourists and go down and kind of measure what if the natives were getting restless, basically. Mm-hmm. So I didn't have a lot of chance to do a lot of music there, but on the bass I did. And I bought a Fender 12 string while I was over there and used to sit and play, all the old classic rock stuff on a 12 string, which sounds really weird when you can't get enough of your love on a 12 string. So sounds happy and joyous. So it was fun. Yeah,
it's very full.
Yeah. It sounds too happy.
So you came back here and took back off with music again?
Yeah, that's when it was around 92 when I met our friend Brent.
Yeah. And
he was also, I met him at Wart Smith Air Force Base. And we kind of combined forces. And from about the first practice on, we were like, okay, this is something. We had some real chemistry. And we just started playing all over. And Brent, don't let his calm demeanor. I love you, Brent, so I'm going to let some things out the hole,
We had him on a podcast with his wife.
With Mary.
With Mary.
Oh, okay.
Miss Mary.
For the Dick Jessup and Mary.
Yeah, sure.
That's Brent that came with Mary that day. Okay. That's his best friend.
We've been at this a very long time, Brent and I, and so we were in this band. He had a band in Germany called Double Eagle, so we kind of took on that persona, and we were one of the early sequencer bands out there. Brent is a savant when it comes to programming sequenced songs, and we were a two-piece band, had sound like a full group, and it was beautiful because you make some money, didn't have to deal with people. It was nice, So we played all over Michigan, and then we brought on a third guy, Daniel Chase, played piano, really deep voice. I have a very high voice. Brent has that right in the middle. So we started getting some notice, and won a few contests, started opening for Ricky Skaggs and Kentucky Headhunters and Tanya Tucker, the normal progression of if you're going to do this, that's where
this
you
is
start.
Still Double Eagle, right?
Still Double Eagle, still sequencer band.
Wow.
Yeah, and we're opening for these guys with our little sequencer, Korg M3 at the time, and a Yamaha MIDI data filer. And the keyboard player would be playing along and switching to the next song while he was playing. It was crazy.
Wow.
It was fun.
Did you get any grief because of using the equipment?
I didn't receive any myself. I don't know. I can't speak for Brent. I know Dan didn't. And just the opposite. We would have people come up and go, "Man, where's the drummer? You guys sound great." We're like in there in the keyboard. And, we'd have people come up and ask if they could set in with us on the drums. And if you can find them, you can play them.
That's beautiful. Mike, were you at those gigs?
So what were you playing at that time? You were playing guitar?
At that time, I played guitar. I switched from drums to guitar. And then somewhere around 93, I met my wife, who I've been married to ever since. And Brent and his wife, who now at this time was a part of the band, they kind of went to Nashville, and I kind of went to Nashville, but we went in different directions. And I went back to drums. I started playing. That's when I started doing session work and that. And I started playing with basically at that time, the big thing, they kind of resurrected the multiple artist but one backing band type feel, slot shows.
Yeah.
And so
Nashville, very Nashville.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it was, and the whole patterning behind it was, and you see it now on the AMAs and all that, the CMAs, is it's just more efficient to have one band and just bring people to a microphone than move a whole band and strike a whole thing and get that sound professional every time. So that's kind of what I did. So that's when I wound up playing for, the guys in the 90s country, 2000s country, and did that for a while, and got really tired of it. Because I was never home, trying to have a wife and kids, and so I joined a group, the White Family Singers out of Branson, Missouri, and they were going to start touring, and it became the Gary Davis Show. Gary was the kind of.
Didn't Ricky Skaggs marry one of those sisters?
Yes.
Yeah.
I haven't been in touch with him for a long time, so I don't know. I haven't talked to him since 97, 96. So it's been a long time. Super nice guy. I mean, just one of the sweetest. I have a picture. Brent has it. He was going to send it to me. I don't know if he did yet. Okay. Where I'm actually on our first show with him. I'm holding my guitar and he's signing it. Because I'm like, I'm fanboying big time, because that guy is just something else. But it was fun. Toured around with that, and then wound up in Ouray, Colorado for 6 months, and then Lake Havasu for 6 months with this Gary Davis Show.
Do you bring your family with you on those?
Well, at that time it was me and Christy. So, yep.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, my little ones, I was married before that, and I had 3 before that, and they were with their mom. That's back when I was in the military.
Okay.
So after that, I just got tired of it and come off the road and kind of changed my whole. So I was playing bars around here with a band called the Outriders at that time. Ron Fontaine, Don Davis, Ron Tebow, the bass player. Davis was a guitar player. We just lost him, unfortunately. He was a brilliant guitar player. And Ron's still playing. Him and his brother Bill Strickler. I think they're called Uncle Groovy. Now I think they're called the Rhythm Brothers or something like that. And they're still playing. Mike Wagner, I think, is their drummer. They're still playing around. Great guys. Ronnie's a good buddy. And was playing with them. And then on my way to a show one night, I gave my life to Christ and walked away from all of it. It was 1998.
98.
Yep.
Okay.
1998.
You did tell me, and you just kind of skipped over a little bit, the session work you were doing in Nashville. There's a lot of records you're on, right? Or you think you might be on.
Yeah, there's a good chance you could be. The way, and people don't realize the session work you do down there, unless you are specifically brought in by a person and paid by that person, you are in a pool. And you'll go in and lay down your stuff, and 4 other drummers will come in and lay down their stuff too. And the guy behind the desk goes, that one. Had nothing to do with how you looked. I
remember being blown away when you were like, I could be on some stuff. And
and you just never know. And on the albums, you'll see the credit of the band that tours. You won't see the credit of the band that was on that record on a lot of these albums. I can tell you from personal experience, some of the people that you listen to on the radio whose drummer's on there was not on there. Their bass player was not on there. How I know? Because I watched it happen. Okay. So, and I don't, that's their story to tell, but I played drums for Clay Davidson. He was one of the up-and-comers. Played drums for Billy Ray Cyrus when he was still Bill Cyrus, William, in a band called Salty Dog from Ohio, which is where he's really from. Don't let him kid you. That southern accent ain't his. But anyway, he wasn't even from, Hamilton. I mean, he wasn't even that far down.
Not even South Ohio.
Not South Ohio, no. Because we used to call Hamilton Hamiltucky. It's right down at the edge,
That's funny.
So I played for him, again, slot shows and thing. I was never a part of that band. I was just a backup guy that they brought in. Had a booking agent named Will Harden out of Chicago, and they would send me to places, and I'd go sit down and play the drums for people. So, and another thing in the music vernacular, when you say you played with this person and that person, always ask more questions. Really? How long did you tour with them? Wow, we did 2 shows and then I was on the next, because a lot of people use that as resume filler, and that's the business. Right? I'm not that guy, I'll tell you the truth. It's funny, my wife calls me the Forrest Gump of music because I almost got a lot of things in there. I had influences, but no one knows my name. It's great, and I love it that way.
So tell us some of your favorite gigs you did before you called it and then gave your life to Christ there.
Well, a lot of them are after I gave my life to Christ, but
we'll get into that too.
Yeah, man, favorite gigs. Colorado Opry. It was fun working with
the
Colorado Opry in Colorado Springs. Colorado Opry, also, it's known well in the West, the western corners. Did open for Garth Brooks there before he was really known. Played with Jeff Cook from Alabama. He was the guitar player. He was the guitar player in the band. Dennis Bailey, who was banjo champion in 90-something. He was the banjo player and steel guitar player. And I got to actually do a Garth Brooks tune, which was fun. It was funny. They dared me to do it, so I did it. And it was Callin' Baton Rouge, great tune. And I'll never forget that gig because I'm wearing my jeans and my white flowy shirt, and I was a third the size I am now. And on my way there, I bumped up against some paint, and I had a paint spot right on my beautiful, nice acid wash jeans. So I had this dot. And you can sometimes still find the video online. They put it out there. Sometimes they take it down. I haven't found it in a while. But you can see me running around up there singing this song, and there's this brown paint spot on my pants. And back then the cameras weren't high quality. They weren't HD like we have now, so the brown against that white is just like, it looks like an eyeball, man. And it's just running back and forth on the stage. So that's fun.
You were tagged forever there.
I was tagged forever. Other show that was fun, I got to play in Key West when I was down in Florida for David Allen Coe.
Oh, yeah, you said that.
Yeah, I got to play drums for the band that would become Confederate Railroad with Danny Shirley and those guys. That was his backing band.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, and I used to drink quite a bit when I was 16, 17. That's kind of where I started, was that. I've never seen human beings consume that much alcohol in my life. They drank the bar dry. It was crazy. They got done with the thing. They sat down. They were drinking their shots or whatever, and the bar owner comes over and says, "Okay, well, we got to close it down." David Allen Coe said, "No, you don't." Puts a stack of hundreds on the table. He says, "Leave the keys on the bar. We'll see you in the morning." And those guys just sat in there and hooked it up. I mean, they drank all night long. And I'm just a kid, by the end of that night, I'm in a puddle somewhere. You could have put me in a Ziploc bag, threw me in a car. I'd never known. It was crazy.
Oh.
But that was fun.
Yeah. Did you ever run into a band when you were out west called Buffalo Chips?
No.
Okay.
Not that I recall. Not that I recall. We moved around a lot.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Just
Buffalo
a chance.
Chips, that's fun. I wish I had.
It's the guy from Bay City. Actually, there were the guys from Bay City and Saginaw, right? Made up Buffalo Chips.
Oh, wow. I wish I had.
Yeah.
That would have been
sounds
fun.
They're still out there. The ones that are
Oh, geez.
live.
Yeah, I don't know. Is the band still playing, though? I thought they had
No,
retired it. Yeah.
They did a reunion. I think it's on YouTube.
Yeah.
A few years back.
That was when John was still alive?
Right.
Yeah.
When I was out there in Colorado, I was out there for a little while, and in between all this, my wife and I had moved out there, and we were in a band called Mountain Rain, and we opened for everybody that came through. Played with the Greeley Stampede up there. We were part of that mess and got to meet Black Hawk and Lone Star and Pam Tillis and all those guys. We got to do a bunch of stuff with them out there on that one, and it was fun.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Great experience.
Yeah, that was 94-ish roughly.
You've I saw a lot of your recent videos you've put on some really big shows.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen some of the stage equipment and stuff that you use. Take us to the next era that you've been in here.
So, 98, I'm on my way to a show at Northwoods Lounge in Mayo, playing for the Outriders. And on the way there, Brent was at a Promise Keepers convention in Joe Louis Arena. And I had the radio. When you're going up 33, you can't get any radio except for when you're at the top of the hills. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And usually 97.3 out of Alpena would come in, and I like classic rock, so I'd listen to that. And then it would go away again when you're down where you can't. Well, it hit 99.7 Family Life Radio out of Midland, and they were simulcasting the Promise Keepers event. And Franklin Graham had just said, does anyone want to know the Lord as their Savior? Come on up. And I knew Brent was there, and I grew up in church, so I kind of, understood prayer. I'd fold your hands, close your eyes. Let's not do it while you're driving. And I prayed at that point, and God just kind of broke my world open and said, you need to change what you're doing. I felt it from top to bottom, and I walked in the place. It was raining, it was muddy, and I just didn't know what to do with myself. I walked in, told everybody I quit, and they're like, "What? We just booked a year's worth of shows." I said, I can't keep doing this. And I stepped away from that, bought a guitar, went back to guitar at that time, and that's all I've done ever since. So the bigger shows now, geez, man.
Yeah, you put on some huge shows.
We've done some crazy stuff in the Christian rock world, just done, my goodness. It's so, you look back on it, you go, how'd I wind up here? How'd I do this? How'd I do that? I pulled in this little church in St. Louis, Michigan, and it was Resurrection Life. And from there, I went to the main Resurrection Life over in Granville, Michigan. Seats 6,500 people every service. They have 7 services a week. Met Kurt Cofield, Michael Gunger, all those guys, all the, Israel Houghton, all those folks, they're the big names at that time, and just started moving through that, and then put together a band called Focus, and we were a power trio, another power trio. Mm-hmm. And Scott Mayhew, Israel Fuentes, Isaiah Fuentes, and myself, and did Christian rock, and no one liked it, and everyone, we were asked not to come back to a lot of places. Well, we would do Purple Haze and sing Amazing Grace over it, and because we're just all old rockers.
So you were doing these performances at various church assemblies?
Yeah. We'd be invited to something. Oh, you guys are a worship band. Yeah, we'll call it that. And we'd go in there, I had my Strat and my orange amp just cranked up, and Scott had his bass rack, and Izzy'd play the drums, and we just go through these tunes, and you can see everyone, it's funny because the church strata back in that time, all the pretty people were up front, and then the further back you go, the more questionable their walk was going to be, And the people in the first 4 rows were all like, they'd be sinking down, going, we're going to die. The pastor and his wife would just slide there, they'd be gone. And then the people in the back would all have their hands up and screaming and yelling and stuff. We would do, Born to Be Wild and just crazy stuff like that. And yeah.
And then just change the words. Is that right?
Well, Born to Be Wild, you really don't need to. There's nothing in there, Amazing Grace, the Purple Haze, that kind of lands all by itself,
Right.
Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound, we just do the whole thing. And so we did that, and then started writing songs, and we put out a little album CD called Storm Warning, and it went crazy. But we just recorded it all in one take in a little old evangelical Lutheran church in St. Louis, Michigan. It's still sitting there right now. And recorded it live to 2-track on a computer, and just put this thing out, pressed 500 CDs. They all went within like a couple weeks, and we started just ripping up, Michigan and going all over the place. We'd play everywhere we could. And then I moved over to Holland. My job took me over there. I was in the automotive industry by that time. Then my job took me over that way, and band those guys stayed there, and And from there, I went to Florida and started, playing music down there, and moved down there for a few years. And man,
it was still Christian.
Oh yeah,
rock
Christian rock. Yeah, played for everybody down there. I mean, when they would come through, I was their guitar player, their drummer. And then we came back to Michigan and kind of reconnected with Brent and played a few gigs with him. And then One True King happened. One True King, I became the pastor of a church. And One True King happened. And when One True King happened, this is the coolest story ever. You guys will love this. So we're a 6-piece band writing these songs. They're actually honestly good. They're good. When I look back at it, I go, those were really good tunes. As tunes, not just because they're worship tunes. And they really weren't. But I'm one of those rare people that'll tell you the truth in a church. I don't sugarcoat nothing. I don't pull no punches, and I don't play no games. I just don't. And the music reflects that, trust me. One of the songs we got, it's called Something's Gotta Change, and the first line is, you ask if I'm a Christian. These days it's hard to say, because what passes for Christian these days is hard to take. Because too many people get too wound up about their rules, and they don't really follow the Bible. And I studied and got a doctorate in theology so I could understand what was going on in there.
Yeah.
And we just tell the truth. And so we started recording these demos, and a friend of mine that was in the industry handed it to a friend who had, how that works, right? And it wound up in the hands of a guy in Canada that was just starting a label called With Hearts As One Records. So we signed on with these guys, started talking to them, and started working the first CD, and come to find out this guy was just a charlatan, just a wolf in wolf's clothing. But the parent company that kind of hovered over him, that they worked under the umbrella, got a hold of us, and they said, we really like what you do. We would like to sign you to a actual label deal. We'd like you to be on our roster. We're like, okay. They're from Australia. And it's called Down Under Label Group. They're still there today. Eben Knox, great guy. Super, super dear friend of mine. And we were with them for 3-4 years, kind of just, and it's hard to do. It was hard for us to manage with them being on the other side of the world.
Yeah.
We really couldn't help each other out. So we walked away from that, went independent, and then One True King kind of blew up, and we're, played in Britain, India, Pakistan, Italy, all over Europe. No one in Michigan knows who we are, but we're all over out of the country, we're everywhere. And, Chris Williams, my son Nicholas, played drums for us. That was his introduction to music. And Mike Adamite plays bass. Mike Stillwagon plays guitar. Tiffany Ivy was our female vocalist, and then myself. And that's what a lot of the pictures you saw was our last big show we did together, because we were together 8-9 years, and we kind of just went into hiatus mode, and now I'm with a southern rock band called Sleeping Dogs, which has Mike Stillwagon and Mike Adamite in it, and Nick from One True King, and then me. So now I'm kind of back to my roots.
Gotcha. All right, so when you say southern rock, are you doing some cover songs, or are you doing originals?
We're doing covers and originals.
So what covers are we talking? Leonard Skinner and Allman Brothers, that kind of thing?
Everybody does Leonard Skinner, and so do we. But we do the stuff you won't normally hear. We do Give Me Back My Bullets. We do the Ballad of Curtis Lowe. Okay, stuff like that. Give Me 3 Steps. No. Beautiful song. God bless it, but no. Tuesday's Gone. We do. That's too good not to.
Beautiful tune.
It is one of the most beautiful songs. The chord progressions, those guys were just so genius with what they did. Allman Brothers, we do Whip and Post because we can. Mm-hmm. It's the only reason. Most people don't even like the song. It's too long, but I do.
Yeah.
So we play that. We lean heavily into Blackberry Smoke's music. Good kinship there with what we do and what they did. R.I.P. Britt, man.
Let's say that was the most recent thing you've caught me up to is you had a really good. You know those guys were a good rapport with them.
Yeah, they're wonderful folks. Charlie and I communicate occasionally now. I had run sound for them when I was doing slot shows as a sound guy, and they didn't have a sound guy, so I did sound for them and kind of fell in with them a bit, and then kind of fell back away from them. And then Mike, our guitar player, was like, "Hey, check these guys out," and I was like, "Oh, hey, I remember them," And so I kind of reconnected with Dave Cobb, their producer, and then him and Charlie, the lead singer. So they're one of the best. If you guys have never seen them live, go see them live. They are the best live band I've ever seen in my entire career, bar none.
So how did you get to know Dave Cobb? Was that not to interrupt? I want to continue.
I know. I mean, acquaintance-wise, we're not like buddies. We don't go to houses or anything. It's just
he's pretty massive himself nowadays.
Now he is. Yeah,
as a producer and as a musician.
Yeah, well, he plays guitar for Chris Stapleton now. Yeah. So I think he's doing good. Whew. That is not a stage you want to walk on unless you know what you know.
Right.
But
Blackberry Smoke did just lose their drummer, Britt. He passed away.
Britt just passed on glioblastoma, got him diagnosed in 22, rather fast, actually. But, they were on tour. I mean, they have been on tour ever since. They had an understudy drummer. When Britt couldn't just do it, they brought Dave, I think I remember his last name right now. But he came out. But the man was such a soldier and such a beautiful human being. Everyone that knew him just said, and his daughter had set up a foundation. She had cancer as a little girl as well, from what I was told. But you can look it up. I mean, there's a foundation for that. And it took him it's brain cancer, and it took him pretty quick. And the world's a lot less because he's gone.
He was so good. We got to open for him in Bay City.
Yeah, he was just, if you want to talk about efficient serving the song drumming, that is the model. He could play. I mean, he was in a speed metal band with his brother called Nihilist.
Yeah, you were talking to Mike and I about that.
Yeah. And so I mean, he could play. I mean, he could throw right down, but he always served the song, and that's one of the reasons I respect Blackberry Smoke's sound completely. It's because nothing's out of place. They serve the music.
They were here for a beer festival of some sort, and I got to open for them.
That's awesome.
About 9 or 10 years ago. The next year they were on the Charlie Daniels tour for the
and then
the year after, it was
gone.
That was it. They were on CMT, and they weren't even really a country band. They were just a southern rock band.
Yeah, and that's funny because when you ask them, they'll talk. What are we? Are you guys southern rock? And they'll go, yeah. Are you country? Yeah. Are you jazz? Yeah. It's all in there. If you listen, because when you go see them live, they kind of take like Fish and Little Feat and even the Grateful Dead, how they were a jam band, how they kind of get on these tangents and take off and do these brilliant musical things. Well, they do that in their concert, and they have a set suggestion list. And then in the middle of a song, Charlie will turn the bus and they'll pull a song out that it isn't written down. They just start, but those guys are so in lock that they just play the song. When we saw them, they did, in the middle of their song Ain't Much Left of Me, they went into a Beatles tune, Come Together Right Now. Yep. They went into that.
Right, Come Together.
Yeah, Come Together. I just couldn't get the name of it. So they do that, and then they'll play Three Little Birds by Bob Marley. I mean, it's just...
How did you connect to them again originally?
Well, I originally had run sound down in Lansing. They were down there for some festival, the River Fest or the Grand River Fest or something like that, back in the, I want to say 2002.
Oh, wow.
Threes, right when they first started. They became a band in 2001. So it wasn't long after that.
Right.
They put it this way, they weren't sober yet. They hadn't cleaned that up. So, because they were drunk. But anyway, so, I was part of the sound crew and got to do that. And that's where I met them then. So
that's right. Sound, running sound.
Yep. Met a lot of people running sound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how another way we got to meet you is Mike getting sound equipment from you too. To hopefully here setting up Dunlop and your assistants.
Can't wait to get that going.
Yeah,
it's
we
a
had
beautiful
very,
room.
Very nice concert last Friday there with Al Jacques.
I saw some
former
pictures.
lead singer of Savage Grace. Boy, he is really good.
Yeah,
it was something else. It's good times. Yeah,
awesome.
One of my friends in Ann Arbor said I sent him one of your tapes that you taped, and he said, and he's a sound guy, Frank Vinson.
Okay.
I don't know if you know him.
No.
But he said, wow, the sound was great.
That's cool. Very cool.
So you provided it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's good. Good to hear that. It worked out good for the videos, Yeah. But
that's hard.
Oh,
that's hard.
Yeah.
That's hard. Video compression will kill you, man.
So right now, to go back to where you're at church every Sunday.
Yep.
In Pinconning, right?
Pastor a church in Pinconning every Sunday called Deeper Waters Christian Church.
And you perform, you put videos out every Sunday?
Every
People
Sunday.
Can go to your Facebook and watch
I go to my Facebook. I do the music, myself and Amy Rich. We're actually going to be doing something tomorrow in St. Louis, going back to my old stomping grounds down there and doing a night of worship down there. And then we got a few shows that'll be coming up and I'll be announcing pretty soon. Sleeping Dogs will be playing over in Everett. In August, we'll be opening for, oh my God, the list it's another slot show,
Cool.
But Tantric, I think, is one of the people that's going to be there. Drowning Pool was there last year. Saliva's been there. It's called Rock for Vets.
Okay.
So it's beautiful.
I think Night Ranger's doing the one at Coleman this year for that one.
Yeah. We actually were going to do that one year, and then something happened. That was the year, I think that was when the pandemic started. We were lined up to do that. And usually, what's his name? Jeff Ott, his band now.
I know. What
Back
about
then,
Jeff
it was
Ott.
like the Kincaids or something like that. They usually play there. They're kind of like the
Kincaids are from Mount Pleasant. They're brothers, but or not brothers, but they're with the pro wrestling thing.
Yeah.
But Jeff out of Bay City, he's
I know.
worked with Jeff Poyer and those guys,
Right.
Sinclair's.
Sinclair, that's what I meant. Sinclair.
Poyer's no longer in that band either. But
no, I haven't connected with them.
They're a big cover band.
The four Jeffs are playing at the Wildwood tonight.
That's tonight.
Yep.
I haven't seen those guys since Jim Davies passed and we did his thing over at the Sandbar. And that's the first time Sleeping Dogs did a show was that day.
Really?
Yeah, it was our first. That was our first gig together as that band. I was there for Jim. So,
is there anywhere we can hear Sleeping Dog songs online?
They're on my Facebook. They're out there. We're putting together a website and a YouTube channel for it right now, and I've sent some stuff to you. It's kind of funk and southern rock mix, so it's fun.
Mm-hmm. You guys got the talent.
Everything's right here, man. There's no chill on the Sleeping Dog stuff.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's really fun. I love doing what this band does because it's real stripped back and just raw. The guitars are all the way up. The drums are right in it, and the harmonies are monstrous. And it'll just run you over, which is way.
Are you drumming or playing guitar?
I'm playing guitar and singing in this band. Yeah.
And your dad, he's not with us anymore? Or?
No, he passed on some time ago.
Okay. I couldn't. I know we were going to discuss a little bit of what he did, but I couldn't remember what our plan was for that. But.
I was going to say, Dad played piano. He was one of the session guys in Nashville back in the late 50s, early 60s. So pretty much everything that came out of the Owen Bradley camp, played for Johnny Cash. He played for Kenny Rogers.
Patsy Cline.
Paid for Patsy Cline.
Brenda Lee, I think, recorded there with...
at the barn.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Those were the big hits.
And he played piano on pretty much everything that came out of there.
Fantastic, yeah.
There's some photos. Who was the one that brought us the photos of Floyd? Was it not Floyd Kramer? It was the person that was the assistant to Patsy Cline or something. Remember we had...
Oh, right.
I think you brought them up too to me, and I'm like, oh, there's a connection there.
My dad played he was the second piano for Floyd Kramer because there was always two pianos.
You mentioned Floyd Kramer. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, he was the other guy.
We had somebody bring us a bunch of photos though from.
Oh, that's awesome.
Lane Valaire did.
Yeah, I just ran into him this morning.
Yeah,
wow.
he was going to do a book on his aunt. I believe she was.
Right.
She was the assistant for that Nashville
Husky
connection.
Yeah,
Furlan Husky and
Right.
Furlan, my dad played for him. Warner Mack.
Patsy Cline and Johnny Cash, early Johnny Cash photos were in there. And
Wow,
there might be pictures of your dad.
There
in those.
probably is. There probably is. He'd be the guy with the big nose, the big hair, and the big teeth. That's what he always. That's what he always said.
Wow, what a career! What a history, John. You've
Been
threaded
fun
it.
stuff.
You've threaded it from here around the world, man. And we don't have many people that have told us that, except for some of the big band touring guys. But thank you for all you've done, man.
Wow,
Thank you for your time, your service.
my
Thank you for
honor.
your music. And anybody can go to your website and check this out. So
Yep.
it's johnwoolard.com or
No,
or just the Facebook.
OneTrueKing.com would be one of them. I try to keep those guys, everything kind of in their own lane
got you.
because there's different applications for each thing. And then sleepingdogs.com will be up soon. John Woolard on Facebook.
Which is where you can see the live videos and
Yeah, you can see all
many
kinds of live
historical
videos.
things.
Yeah, you see all kinds of live videos, a lot of pictures there. Couple of the songs that'll be out on the release that we're about to do. So
Well, wow. Well, let's hopefully have you come back and talk about the release when the time comes.
yeah, would
Yeah,
love to.
sure.
Maybe get a show at Scotty's or something, or do you even Dunlap?
If you would let me, I would love to. What you got there?
Let's hear some songs,
Uh-oh.
buddy. Mike's like, get this guitar out.
See, there's a bet that I won't do all my dad jokes while I'm here from my band members, and they're like, "Yes, I will." You watch.
We'll slip it in here.
It's like I started working out, and so it's called the toddler workout. You ever heard of it?
No.
It's really tough. You can feel it in your head, shoulders, knees, and toes.
Ba-dum-bum.
If you have kids, you'll grab onto that one. So I think this will work. Man, you know, it's funny. I had all kinds of songs in my head when I was on my way over here. Now, I don't know what to do. Yeah, I think we'll do that one. I like that. This song's sassy.
John Bon Jovi.
I wish. It's all the same. It's all the same. No, it's not that. I'm about
I was waiting
20 years past singing that high.
Got you on the spot now.
That's a red light flu, man. When the light goes on, you go. Well, I ain't worried about what you got for opinions. And I ain't worried about how you spend your time. If we could get back to living and let living, well, that would be about right for me and mine. Like an old scarecrow standing in the sun, day after day, his work ain't ever done. I ain't ever gonna change my ways. I'll make my stand for the rest of my days. I ain't worried about this year's make and model, 'cause I was built to last, I'm running fine. You're looking at a man who really don't give a damn about others trying to waste my precious time. Like an old scarecrow standing in the sun, day after day, ever done. I ain't never gonna change my ways. I'll make my stand for the rest of my days. I like this line. I might be a little rough around my edges, and I ain't straight and tall as I used to be. But I look across this land, and I look at these two hands, and I know there's someone watching over me. Like an old scarecrow standing in the sun, day after day, his work ain't ever done. I ain't ever gonna change my ways. I ain't ever gonna change my ways. I ain't ever gonna change my ways. I'll make my stand for the rest of my days.
Ooh,
Yeah, that's great.
beautiful
Is that
song.
an original, Ken?
I wish it was. That was actually written by Charlie Starr from Blackberry Smoke. So what do you want me to do? I mean, you want me to do another song, or is that all we got? Or
No.
you talk an original?
Give us another one. Yeah, certainly.
If you want me to do one.
Yeah,
definitely.
absolutely, yeah.
Oh, let me think here.
What do you got coming up for the new record? Anything you can play acoustically?
You know, it's funny. You write them and then you got to learn them.
Oh yeah,
It's just
oh
the
yeah.
weirdest. You
No,
know,
it's
you
true.
know what I mean.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
6 o'clock a.m. So when the call came in, a world that changed again. At least you weren't alone. You tried your best to hold on here. Said I loved you through your tears. We realized our darkest fear the day that you went home, Daddy. Oh, the laughter that we shared. The time went by, we didn't care. We'd get to that tomorrow. It all came crashing to the ground, but we won't give for one more round. So don't wait until tomorrow. Lying in a hospice bed, the years had robbed your mind and then took your voice and memories. You knew our faces, not our names. We took in your last breath. You looked at every one of us, then laid your head back down to rest. Now we'll never be the same, Mama. Oh, the laughter that we shared. The time went by, we didn't care. We'd get to that tomorrow. It all came crashing to the ground. What we won't give for one more round. So don't wait until tomorrow. It's a hard one, guys.
Yeah, that was a great tune. Very nice.
Song
Great
about
lyrics.
My dad and
Yeah.
my mom passed.
Oh,
Yeah, awesome.
Just lost mom in 22. A few days after my house burned down.
wow. Wow.
So yeah, you know, I still love playing, still love doing it. Brent and I are starting a little thing we're gonna do, just a couple of guitars and two. We were gonna call it two old guys, but the gore, the geezers of rock experience.
There you go.
But yeah, the name of what we're doing is called From Ashes, because it's the old band brought back, and we're doing all old songs reimagined.
That's the band name?
Yep.
That's a
From
good name.
Ashes, yeah.
Very good. Yeah. I like that.
I won't do the whole song. I don't want to get everything out of the bag, but we're going to do. Talking away, I don't know what I'm to say, I say it anyway. I look for my whole life just to find you shying away. I'll be coming for your love, okay? Take on me. Take on me. Take me on. Take on me. I'll be gone in a week or two. So that's the kind of stuff we'll be doing. We'll be doing reimagining old stuff in different ways you would never expect. We even actually do an Iron Maiden tune.
Wow. I think you did it online.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
I did.
I watched it.
Wasted Years.
Yeah. I was like, wow.
Yeah,
Broke it right down.
Yeah, Ryan Rambalski's doing stuff like that too.
It's fun.
Yeah, he's doing his instrumentally. Yeah.
It's fun just doing it, and especially when you do it with a crowd, and because when you do, take.
Everybody knows that. They're like, where have I heard this?
And you point, they go, take on me. And then that last note that there's no way in hell anyone human's going to hit. Everyone tries it, and it just sounds like a bad karaoke experience. Because, karaoke is all about getting out alive. It's not about being good, right? You're supposed to feel like you're going to die. That's what the cool part of it. So we do stuff like that.
Yeah, it's great.
Very cool.
Fun. I like having fun.
We're looking forward to your new record. We're looking forward to all the stuff you have coming up. You got a lot of different outlets. You have every outlet at your fingertips now.
Yeah, I got that's good. We have the studio. I have a little recording studio. We call it the cottage industry because it's in an old cottage. Mm-hmm. So it's I
think we've been there.
I like puns. Yeah, you guys went over there. Yep. And we're actually going to move it. We ran out of room. We're going to move it to the pole barn and redo all that back there because it just ain't enough room in that little building. It just ain't. Nope. You get six sweaty bodies in there breathing through their mouths, and you'll melt in that house. So. That's kind of on my my plans for this summer.
As soon as you can get that stuff out of there and put it into Dunlop, and
that's one of the things I need to get out of that pole barn. Is so full of just stuff. It's crazy. I have collected music gear for a very long time.
Sound and lighting, and there's amps and old guitar bodies, and I have so many projects that I've almost started. It's amazing what you do have, considering you say a lot of your stuff burnt in the fire.
Yeah, well, all that's the stuff that wasn't at the house
right.
is the only all that I got left.
Yeah, so you still got a good hand in the music.
Yeah, there's some stuff.
A couple
there's
things.
Some stuff. Yeah, there's some stuff, and I got stuff out at other places that I'm bringing back, and good times.
John Woolard, everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
What a show, man.
My honor to be here.
Oh, it was great.
Thank you so much, man. This was really cool.
On behalf of our hosts, this podcast wouldn't be here without generosity of the Bay City Historical Museum, which hosts the Rock and Roll Legends Hall of Fame. We'd also like to thank all of our guests, and especially to the listeners. The MMHP is found at 989.network, or where all podcasts can be found. You can find updated information as well as Dr. J and Sir Fred's Picks of the Week on Facebook. Also on Facebook, check out Mr. Mike's Local Music Live series and Scott's Mid-Mitten 15 from Harvest Canteen Studios, featuring one-on-one interviews with Michigan music artists. You can connect with Scott on the web at scottbakermusic.com, Dr. J at michiganrockandrolllegends.com, Sir Fred at fredrife.com, and Mr. Mike on YouTube as Mr. BT1. That's MRBTEE and the number 1.
On behalf of us hosts, Dr. J, Sir Fred, Mr. Mike, and myself, we'd like to thank Mr. Eddie Switek, the voice of the MMHP and the 989. It's really cool to get such an overview. I mean,
Yeah, fun stuff.
yeah.
Was that up? We three playing
See
now?
if I can
You could play all you want, man.
get
That's what
that
it
up
is.
real quick. What am I looking at? Oh,
That's one of our One Tree King tunes.
I was looking for that picture, that ad for that Grand Ole Opry show.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it goes from funk to pop and back to funking. It's fun.
You got Skinner-ish licks, though, going on there
Oh,
and
definitely.
stuff, you know,
Yeah,
and it's got
that's
that
a
vibe.
huge influence.
There's so many changes of I can recognize there. It is, and it's still funky. Skinner was funky. They
really
three
were.
guitar guys. They had to have a little bit of that in there, you know.
Well,
just to-
and the thing I liked about Skinner was they just kind of got out of each other's way and let each one. They all had a piece of the puzzle, but no one had to be the star. So
True.
in being so, they were all the star. You know.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well put. Yeah. Not a lot of people look at
Here
it like
was one
that.
of those at Saginaw Auditorium.
Oh
Grand
my
Ole
goodness,
Opry.
Roger Miller. My dad played for him many times. That's Fair and Young. Yep. That
So
Roy
this
Drusky,
was
wow.
1960. Think your dad might have been on that show.
Dad started in that industry in '57, so he was probably there.
Yeah, wow.
Yep, Johnny D was his stage name.
Johnny D.
You know, you guys ever heard Ron Trombley? Brilliant musician.
Heard
off
of him.
that. Yeah. Gary Grierson, Bud Ray. That was basically the Michigan. My dad, Lee Mankey, Pete Drake, Jerry Shook. Pete and Jerry went down to Nashville with me.
Did you say Pete Drake?
Yes. Yeah.
He worked with Dwight Yoakam, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
He
Toward-
just
toward the end of his
produced
career,
Sarah Shook's new record.
Oh, okay.
Not the steel
Latest
guitar
one.
player.
Yeah. Pete Drake,
Oh.
steel guitar player. Yep.
Yeah.
He's from up here.
Well, he was here back when my dad was in the business.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, he was in Greg Mackey's book quite a bit.
Oh, wow.
He played a lot in
Okay,
Detroit.
I think I'm
And
thinking
then
of
Rich
somebody
Blackmore,
else.
not Richie Blackmore, but Rich Blackmore from Gaylord.
I'm thinking of someone
Another
else.
big name.
That was
Billy
Dwight
Dowell,
Yoakam.
drummer, another big drummer.
Did you know Bubba Grudner?
Well, he
He
could.
played
Yeah,
on Dolly Parton's records
Yeah,
on
his
drums.
name
was
is
a
very
guitar player.
familiar.
Oh,
He's
Yeah,
the
it wasn't
Grudner,
still
John
player.
Grudner played up here. I was using my band for a little bit. He used to be with Bob Hauser quite a bit. Bubba played with so many Nashville things. He was on one of Dolly's late '80s. Bobby Randall, you know Bobby
Yeah,
Randall?
Bobby Randall,
Yeah,
yeah,
he's from,
Bobby.
That's the guy.
from Midland. Yeah.
Yeah, I
He's got a place in Beaverton now, but
yeah.
yeah.
He used to be a DJ up here,
Mhm.
and
I know Bobby
Well,
very well.
He was also.
Well, I
I
knew
was
him,
a
I
judge
understand.
at WXOX
Years.
talent contest, and he was in it.
Actually, there was two guys in
And
Sawyer Brown from Michigan.
he didn't
the
win.
drummer was from Midland. as
Really?
well.
And he became the biggest star.
Huh. I saw him. Seaberger posted more pictures of Bobby playing the other night
Right.
with.
Bobby can play, man.
The
That dude
Orange
that dude
Country
tear
Opry in
tear
Florida.
up a guitar. He is no
I'm trying to get him on the show here.
no stranger.
But we're
to
not friends outside of we've talked to each other. But
Yeah,
on
that's.
fr-
I mean, that's.
he's got so many friends on Facebook. It's hard to even get a note through. So I'm
Yep.
like, well, it'll happen when it happens.
Don't
So-
tell him I'm involved.
He,
You don't like
just-
it?
He might remember he
still
did
holding
win
the
that
grudge.
talent contest, and I was a judge.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Probably a voodoo doll down there.
Do you remember?
That's
Do
what
you
I
remember
felt.
they used to have the Ace Hardware Country Series thing going on where you would compete. You remember that back in the '90s You guys remember any of that?
I don't.
That's how we got on the Ricky Skaggs thing and the Kentucky Headhunters and Tiny Tucker and all that. Was we won? Well, we came in second. A band bought their way in at the last minute, but anyway.
Really?
It was called Lucky Seven, and the judges all came up to us and said, "You guys had that thing won. We got told they had to win." I'm like, okay.
So does the whole White family tour with Ricky Skaggs? Or is that part of the tour?
Back then, they had their bus and the band had the other bus, and him and his family were on their own bus. Yeah. What an amazing human being. I got to sit and watch him, Vince Gill, and Alison Krauss do a set
Jeez.
at the Ryman. Yeah, it was just, you just get goosebumps.
Did you play the Ryman?
No.
But you have the old Grand Ole Opry.
Yeah, I played the Opry over at the hotel,
the original one, right? Or isn't there two Opries, or is it two Rymans?
Well, no, there's the new Opry. There's the Opry house, and I played there. Then there's the Ryman, the mother church.
Okay,
I've been there. My dad has played there, but I have never played on that stage.
Gotcha. Okay.
I've played on the piece of the stage at the Opry Land where the new Opry is.
Okay.
Because they have a big chunk of the stage in there.
Okay.
I've played there, so I played on the Opry stage, but not at that.
When your dad played there, was he a member of the Opry? Or?
He was a staff musician, so I don't know. He was never like inducted into the Grand Ole Opry. He was just.
I don't know how that worked.
They're all hired guns. That's all they are. All those guys back there were hired guns, especially back then. That's back in the time when they'd give you $25 show up fee and you'd play on the record. The record would go and sell millions of copies, and you got your $25. Yeah, which happened to Dad a lot.
Tell me who you give me one crazy story. I remember I thought you said one when we were selling Alvarez one day. But you were like, I'll never deal with that guy again story, one of those type ones.
Oh, there's several of them. Boy, geez. So you're looking for dirt. Let me think here.
you had one that cracked me up. I can't remember what it was, though.
Man, I didn't even tell
That's when I said we need to do the podcast.
Yeah, I didn't even tell any of the good stories about locking Brent in the door of the car or the truck.
Well, you can still tell that. We're rolling.
Oh,
I'll put a post up. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So let me think. Boy, you got to be careful because I still talk to some of these people, so you got to.
Yeah.
And I don't like putting people on blast. If we're just talking, that's one thing. But
I won't use this part then. You got some funny stuff though, or not funny, but serious stuff.
Well, yeah. I mean, I remember singing a song. I had a wireless headset back then. I built it. And then when I talk about being the Forrest Gump of music, a very well-known country artist saw my headset and liked it. And a year later, he had his own. And you just didn't see that back then. I built it out of a Samson guitar unit.
Wow. And
had a Shure SM10 headset microphone. And I built this whole thing put together. I used to have a hat. I sent you a picture of me doing this in a fuchsia shirt that we were opening for Martina McBride at that time.
Okay.
And that's when I had that in. And the whole thing was actually inside the hat. The guitar, the whole piece was all wired inside the hat in a circle. So I put that on. The microphone was all built into the hat and everything. I put the hat on the microphone, pop right there. There it was.
Wow.
It was fun. And we were playing in Ypsilanti they have a really big Eagles club down there, and we were called Double Eagle. We may or may not have been really drunk. And Brent, our guitar player, mild-mannered Brent. I love you, Brent. Mild-mannered Brent we had a Chevy Astro van that we went to the gig in, and they had the old sliding doors on them, right? Mm-hmm. And Brent's talking to his lady, Jeanette. I shut the door. We all take off and go to the venue. We go walk in. Except Brent didn't walk in. He got about a foot, and it went, and he's like, and he started pulling. He couldn't get in his head what was going on. So he's pulling and pulling and pulling. He's like, I can't move. And I looked at his hand. I followed his hand to the door. I went, oh my. And he goes, Oh, I'm in the door. Like, that was great. It was great. I shut his fretting hand in the door.
We didn't know it.
He didn't even know it. He did not know it.
Oh.
But that was the night certain people drank booze from a shoe.
Oh.
We won't mention his
Booze
name.
from a shoe.
Yep. A pump.
That sounds like a song.
There you are.
Booze from a shoe.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that was. I'm just trying to
Well,
think.
next time you come by, I want to hear that Booze from a Shoe song. that
I
we
will work on
inspired.
that.
Yeah.
And there's also
We
shoes called
inspired.
pumps too. So yeah.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
this was a red pump. I'll never forget. It was a red pump, and he poured it in there, and away it went. After we got done with the show, so it was gross. Because the lady that was singing with us, it was her shoe. Yeah.
Fred's
Love
done
you,
that.
Brad.
Oh.
Anyway, and then we have Dan, the levitating keyboard story, the keyboard player. That was fun. We had picked up ladies and brought them back to the hotel, and Dan wanted to stop and get some refreshments. And so he bought a 6-pack of beer for all of us. Ladies, man, this one is. 2 things I'll tell you about this real quick. So he comes walking out, and it's October, November, icy. He's wearing cowboy boots, carrying his little beers. He hit that ice, and he went up in the air and stayed there. The beers all went up. They came down, and when they came down, he came down with them, and they went smash, 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 all but one, all the way around him. And he landed flat on his back.
Oh.
And I ran out of the van, said, Dan, you okay? He goes, no. I said, good, the beer is, and went, drank his last beer. So,
Tales from the road.
yeah, we're in the room with these wonderful ladies, and just sweet, beautiful ladies. And, doing what musicians are about to do. And he pulls out a pack of cards he bought. He goes, anyone in for like some euchre? And the ladies went, oh, we got to go. And out the door they went, man. I was like,
Oh, really?
oh, yeah,
Right.
it was a trip.
Wait for some euchre. Oh, Michigan.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Thank you, bro.
Hey, man, it's my pleasure. Thank you.
I'm glad
for
you
that.
made it to the show.
Thank you for
we had
that.
a couple
It was really,
postponements,
really
but
great.
Yeah, thank
there's,
you.
there's so much history here, man, and so well rounded.
Well,
It's a good story.
Think a little more about what I can let out and what I can't. Maybe
Yeah.
we'll do